Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I'm chatting about my favorite authors that I can't wait to read more from. Some authors just really blow me away with their creativity, their prose, their world building. And when that happens, I think my dog is gonna join us. Come on up, bud. Okay, where was I? When an author just really blows me away with their writing, their characters, their plots, whatever it is for that particular author, I immediately add their entire backlist to my reading list. So I chose 8 authors to highlight today who I am most excited to read more of their published work, but just know that this list is like miles and miles long. In particular, a lot of authors that didn't make this list are folks who I'm like currently in the middle of a series with that author, so I'm already still reading more from them, right? So today I tried to contain it a little bit more to authors that I'm not actively reading from. So let's hop in. Number 1 of 8 today is Madeline Miller. So I've read 2 of her published works. I've read The Song of Achilles, which is a full-length novel, and I have read Galatea, which is a short story, I believe she classifies it, not even as a novella, but I think it's somewhere around like 70 pages, something like that. So I've read those 2 from her. And then Circe, her other full-length novel, is currently on my spring reading list. So yay. If I haven't gotten to that yet, which I mean, as of today, I haven't, but I'm filming this a little bit ahead of time. So if I haven't gotten to it by now, in March, then I will get to it in April or May. So that's exciting. I will be reading more Madeline Miller coming up here really soon. Super exciting. And I also just found out she is publishing, or has published this year, another short story called Mestra. And all of her books, as far as I know, all 4 of those are Greek retellings, Greek mythology retellings. So she just does a phenomenal job to me with her writing. So her writing to me is the perfect combination of like beautiful prose, but really clear messaging and language. So sometimes really overly like flowery or descriptive language can really bog me down in a story. But I feel like with Madeline Miller, you get that perfect middle ground where everything is so beautifully written, so beautifully articulated, but it's so clear and so punchy at the same time. It's just detailed enough to let me really picture the settings, really imagine the dialogue, really feel the emotions, get caught up in the plot, but it's not so flowery that I get kind of lost in the details. In addition to that writing style, I think that her pacing is flawless. It's absolutely incredible. She slows down just enough to like linger in the moments that you want to last longer, and then she picks up the pace so well when it is a more tense or action based moment. She really advances her plot quickly when she needs to, but she knows how to slow down and linger at the same time. So Madeline Miller to me is just an expert. I've only read those 2 things by her, and there are only 2 more in her entire backlist, and I'm positive that within this year I will finish both of those other things and probably just start rereading what she's already written because I love her writing so much. Number 2 on this list is N.K. Jemisin. So I read the Broken Earth trilogy last year and promptly decided that I need to read her entire backlist. I have since then slowly been making my way through a lot of the short stories that she publishes in Clarkesworld, which is like a sci-fi magazine with short stories in it, essentially. Emergency Skin is one of my favorite short stories by her. That one's actually published on Amazon Kindle, but I have yet to read any more of her full-length work. But I could just tell from the early on pages of the first book in the Broken Earth trilogy, called The Fifth Season, that N.K. Jemisin is just operating on an entirely different level than the rest of us. She's just over here like up in an entirely different brain space for sure. Her mind has to be so keen, so masterful to have crafted such a relevant critique of humanity, but set in such a complex, alive, living sci-fi world. The way that she revealed and concealed information strategically throughout that book, her absolutely unbelievable use of second person POV, unreal how she used that. It just unlike anything I've ever experienced before. It was so artfully done. I cried so many times and I was so angry so often in that series. It just like dragged all of these deep emotions out of me in a way that I could not comprehend. That series is just, it's unmatched in every way, in my opinion, and I cannot wait to experience more of her full length narratives, because her short story work is also phenomenal, but I really want to re-immerse myself back into a long series by her, because it was such an immersive and unbelievable experience for me to read that series. And I'm serious when I say, if you know of anything that comes even close to the Broken Earth trilogy in terms of the craft of writing and the intricacy and the detail and the complexity of that series, please leave me a comment down below, because I have yet to find something that I think is as artfully done as N.K. Jemison's The Broken Earth trilogy. It's just unreal. Okay, number 3 is Donna Tartt. So I have read The Goldfinch and The Secret History by her, and I think this is a little bit of an unpopular opinion based on what I see online, but I loved The Goldfinch. Oh my gosh, I loved that story. I loved those flawed characters. I loved that entire plot line. And then I read The Secret History after that, and I was pretty let down. I just felt so deeply for the characters in The Goldfinch, and the plot was moving at a pace that really worked for me with the storyline. And then when I got to The Secret History, it was just so middle of the road for me. Like, there was nothing necessarily wrong about it. I didn't dislike it. I just expected to be blown away the same way that I was with The Goldfinch. And I was pretty underwhelmed, I guess, is the best way I can describe it. I don't really recommend it to people because I was honestly pretty bored while I was reading it, and it's just not one of my favorites, whereas The Goldfinch stands out to me as one of my top reads of all time. So she has one other book called The Little Friend, and it was published in between the other two, in between The Secret History, which is her oldest published book, and The Goldfinch, which is her most recent published book. And I haven't read The Little Friend yet, but I really want to read it because I kind of want it to serve as a tiebreaker for me of whether Donna Tartt is in that category for me of authors that I just can't, that I love, that I absolutely adore their writing and their storytelling, or if, unfortunately, if it's going to put her more mid-tier for me, if it goes the way of The Secret History for me. So I'm interested to read that book, largely because I feel confused and conflicted about Donna Tartt's writing, because I loved one of her books so much, and then I felt just kind of okay and a little bit indifferent, honestly, about her other book that I read. So I want to finish up her third book, her third and last book that she has published, just to kind of see where I land. Oof, and then number 4 here, Erin Morgenstern. Unlike Donna Tartt, Erin Morgenstern has only published 2 books, and they were both 5 stars for me, like 5 stars and above, like phenomenal books. So it's The Starless Sea and The Night Circus, and I love them both to pieces. They are just unbelievable worlds. She writes in such a multi-sensory way that it really feels like you're there. You're present in the setting of the book, and she does a wonderful job of writing flawed characters that you still can't help but love. To say that both of her books fundamentally altered the way I read and the way I experience fiction is a huge understatement. They just have had such an impact on me, and it's hard for me to even describe that. They just they shifted something in my brain. We'll just put it that way. They changed the way that I view reading and fiction as a whole. Her unique settings and her plot structures and her characters are just so different than a lot of what we experience in especially contemporary fiction, that it was a breath of fresh air while also keeping me on my toes. I also really love the way she incorporates romance or love stories into her plots, where they are not the only thing going on. They are not overtaking the plot as a whole, but they're still playing a pretty critical role in moving us forward and in the character growth that we're seeing. I just can't fault either of her books in any way. And unfortunately, I've reached the end of her backlist because she's only published 2 books. So for her, I can only hold out hope that she publishes more, that she continues to write, because I feel so lucky to have read her 2 books, and I am dying to read more from her. But in the meantime, I will satiate that curiosity by just continuing to reread her 2 books that she has published. Number 5 on my list is John Steinbeck. So I've read Grapes of Wrath, East of Eden, and Travels with Charlie from him, and I really loved all 3. I am not a huge classics reader. A lot of times they're too dense and just a little too serious for me, or I read them as too serious, I guess is a good way to say it. I know that a lot of older classics do have a sense of humor and they are funny. I just have a hard time reading that in them, I guess. But with John Steinbeck, I really connect with the characters and the settings and the plots super easily. So I've loved all 3 of the books that I read from him. And East of Eden in particular is one of my favorites of all time. He just really captures the flaws in the American dream so sharply and so crisply, and he tells stories that feel completely timeless to me. So I would love to continue going down his backlist and continuing to read what he had published, because it's one of those areas where I can really devour the classics and enjoy them and kind of get that perspective without feeling kind of bogged down or slowed down by the classics, which is often how I feel, unfortunately. So I love John Steinbeck, and I'm going to continue reading his work. Number 7 is Alex E. Harrow. So I've only read 2 things by this author, which was The Starling House, which is a full-length novel, and The 6 Deaths of the Saint, which is a short story published on Amazon. I know that she has a pretty big backlist, and I'm really, really excited about that because I'm super, super eager to kind of dive into it now that I know I like both her short story writing and her long form writing, her full novels. I was obsessed with that short story for years. It's one of the most incredibly written short stories I've ever experienced. Like, it was just, my jaw was on the floor by the end and I bawled my eyes out. So anybody who can make me cry that hard in under 30 pages deserves more of my time, absolutely. So after finally reading one of her full-length books last year, The Starling House, I am super eager to move on into some of her other longer form writing. I have her newest release, The Everlasting, on my bookshelf right now, so I will get to it soon, and that will probably be the next one I pick up from her. Number 7 is Fredrik Backman, and anyone who's been on my channel has heard me talk about him quite a bit lately, actually, because I've read many, many of his books, and every single time I fall in love with the flawed characters that he writes, and I am awed by his ability to make me laugh and cry literally on the same page of a book. It is unbelievable how much emotional depth he can write into a book and into characters. Every time I talk about him and his books, for some reason, I literally start tearing up. This happened in my best books of 2025 video too, when I talked about my friends. I don't know what it is, but I have this like gut emotional reaction to his writing and his characters, and it makes me genuinely so emotional. They find themselves in the funniest situations, and it's always like a laugh cry situation for me with his books. So the things that I have up next for him are Anxious People. I haven't read that yet, and then the Beartown series. I believe it's a trilogy. I haven't read that either. I have heard that one in particular packs a huge emotional punch, and I'm honestly a little bit scared to read it because I think it's going to destroy me. But I just love his writing, and I can't wait for the emotional whiplash that inevitably comes for me with his writing. And these ones are just no-brainers to me. I will absolutely read that trilogy and that standalone from him. No questions asked. I mean, he's just an unbelievable writer. I don't know how he does it. I don't understand how it hits me so hard emotionally every time I read one of his books, but he has yet to miss for me, so I'm excited to read the rest of what he has to offer. And then number 8 on this list is B.K. Borison, a very new author for me. I read Good Spirits by her in December of 2025, and then I read First Time Caller in February of 2025, or 2026, excuse me. And those are the only 2 books that I've read by her, but I did enjoy both of those romances. Good Spirits was my favorite of the 2 because I really liked the holiday vibes, the festive vibes, and the magical realism situation that was going on there. But I also liked First Time Caller, and the unifying factor here that's making me really look forward to reading more from B.K. Borison in the future is that the dialogue and the banter between her characters is 100% my vibe. I just think her dialogue is hilarious. It is not necessarily the most real feeling dialogue I've ever read in a romance, but personally for me, I like something that's a little unrealistic, a little bit over the top, funny, kind of gives me that like fluttery, silly feeling, like the hee, cutesy kind of dialogue. And she does that flawlessly. So I am so excited to get some more of that in my life. And I'll probably be picking her books up the next time I'm looking for a romance because I have loved the dialogue so much. So there you have it, 8 authors that I'm not currently reading, but that I'm really excited to continue reading their backlist or rereading their work if I've already finished everything they have to offer right now. And let me know who your favorite authors are. I am on the hunt for some new folks to check out this year, so I'm always taking recommendations from you all. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.